hosts, Bola and
Whitney.
And you are listening to BlerdTalk with what?
Bola and Whitney.
Of course. And you guys, we have plenty to talk about. But first, we wanted to say, yay! We have successfully done 10 episodes, and this is episode 11. So let's just give ourselves a nice little clap.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Clap it up.
Oh, yeah.
Clap your hands. I don't know if that's copyrighted, but whatever.
Clap your hands.
Exactly. So we're going to clap back on that.
Too late now, y'all.
Take it back this time. Okay, no, we're done. We're done.
Right.
Anyway, guys, so we have a lot to talk about today.
We do.
We do. Tell me, Whitney, what we going to talk about first?
Oh, that's right. Let's keep this trend going of actually telling you guys what the main episode is about. Mm-hmm. Today's episode is about the darkest minds. And a side note for Sorry to Bother You.
Yes,
and
very much side note.
Bola was not really feeling that movie. I liked it, but yeah. But yeah, our headliner is The Darkest Mind. Sorry to Bother You is like the, what do you call it?
Opening act.
The opening act. There we go.
And then we also have our Blerding Out segment, which is a joint one. We're going to be talking about BlerdCon.
Yeah, we're blerding out about BlerdCon.
Oh, yeah.
Blerding out about BlerdCon. Blerding out about BlerdCon.
Back it up. Bring it back. And then we have several things and topics in Blackness. Okay, I think we're going to talk about that first, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into these two things. We have two things for topics in Blackness. Today, the first topic is, okay, so today the news came out that the Oscars, the Academy, decided that they kind of want to develop a new category where someone could win an Emmy, and it's Best Popular Movie.
Let's correct that.
They want to. It's not out yet.
Emmy
but it's
is a different show.
I didn't say Emmy.
You definitely did.
I did, dang. I mean Oscar, y'all. I meant Oscar. My bad. This is about the Academy. Oscars. Dang. Okay. I was in a good flow there. I make a mistake.
I'm sorry to mess up your foot. Sorry to harsh your mellow.
No, we're good. We have to let people know it's not the Emmys, y'all. It's the Oscars. Anyway, the point is, the reason why we're talking about this in Topics in Blackness because it's all surrounding Black Panther. And so, let's just be honest. Black Panther does deserve an Oscar. Can we just say that? I'm going to say it.
Heck yeah.
It does deserve an Oscar, but you guys know, well, maybe you don't know because you might not even watch the Oscars or watch any of the films nominated, but most of the times the Oscars are art house movies that
sometimes popular stuff doesn't really get anything.
Which sucks because I'm like, some of these popular films are like awesome. So now, because not only was Black Panther culturally relevant, had artistic brilliance, and was a big box office smash hit. I don't even know what else to call it. $1 billion, bam. Just making it rain dollar bills all over the place. But, so they have to recognize that. Also, we have read that today that part of this was because they wanted to get younger audience members invested in the show and like watching. They just want more ratings, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And the ratings have been going down since because of what a lot of the movies featured are ones people don't watch or they've never even heard of.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, lots of times I only hear about the Oscar movies for the first time when I see that they're nominated for an Oscar. I'm like, what movie was that?
Sometimes I have checked out some of these things.
Me too.
I've never heard about this, like La Vie en Rose.
Oh, that was beautiful.
That was awesome, and I never would have watched that.
See, if you're film blerdies like we are, I do sometimes like art house films.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie, I do check them out because I'm like, I'm all for the like very artsy, very like dramatic movies, like real rich tales of real rich, scenarios and just interesting things that are different.
But let's not punish a movie just because it did well.
Exactly. And I feel like that's what
they're not exactly doing that, but it's essentially the effect.
Yeah. So the main debate was like whether or not they should do this because it's almost like me and Whitney are of a different persuasion. To me, I feel like them trying to give Black Panther its own little category in the Best Picture, but then I'm like, why shouldn't they just let it be part of the Best Picture nominees,
And this is where Bola and I differ a little bit, because reading the article, which is an IndieWire article, and we'll put it in the show notes, it really seems like they did this, well, Black Panther is one of the things that, like, plays into it vastly, but it seems like they're like doing this for a lot of other movies, because you got stuff like Infinity War, Thor Ragnarok, Wonder Woman, things that just get totally jaded just because they did well and were popular, and it's like, you should get something too.
Yeah,
like
even Mission Impossible Fallout, which is, I heard, really good.
Okay.
So even people, they're all talking about those kind of films too.
Yeah.
So, but again, it just goes to the fact that, like, to me, it's almost like, oh, well, we do have to recognize this film, but at the same time, it's not artsy enough. And one person said in the article, it's like, it's separate but equal, which is kind of like race, like, it kind of hints or alludes to a race thing, which I'm not trying to go there with. I just feel like, to me, if you're gonna put it in a best category, it should just be able to be, I think they should just let popular films be part of the nominees. I mean, they've increased it from 5 to 10. Why can't some of these movies be featured in there? Instead of just having its own little category. It's almost like, we don't know what to do with you, but we have to acknowledge you. And because we want what? More ratings, more viewers. So, I don't know. It's a weird little conundrum.
Oh, and another thing in the article that was also interesting was they're like, ABC, since they're the ones who host the Oscars, are like, we don't need y'all to bring in some more viewers. And plus, we want y'all to
cut it down.
Create. Why aren't y'all rewarding our movies? Because they made, Star Wars, it's Disney. ABC, owned by Disney.
Yes.
Marvel, Disney. They're like, y'all ain't giving any of our movies any awards.
That could be it. That could be it too. That could be it.
So people were like, yeah, this seems kind of self-serving.
Yeah, so this new change is it's definitely being like talked about and debated, because it kind of has a lot of multifaceted things happening with it, because it's like, it's not only about the film, it's also about whether or not what they're saying about having a popular movie category, and then what about the ratings, and then trying to bring younger audiences, and then keeping showtime is short. That was in the article somewhere.
That's right. They want to make it not like a 3-hour show.
I don't know how they're going to do that with all the stuff that they have to give out.
Like, I'm trying to think of like the MTV Movie Awards. How long is that?
Oh God, I don't even know. I think all the shows are like 2 hours plus.
Okay. Because I have no problem watching the movie awards. I feel like the younger audiences, like our generation, are more interested in that.
Because they actually look at... Exactly. They have more fun. The categories are interesting. Like, best fight scene, best kiss. Come on. We all can
reward the movies that we actually watch.
But who has seen the foreign film or the shorts? We haven't seen those. So it's like, I don't know.
I think it's good, though. Different niche... Did different things for different niches. Because... then it brings some, I guess, audience to those films that it might not otherwise have.
You're right. I'm all for recognizing the artistry of filmmaking, because it definitely is an art form as much as it is a social and a media communication form. It definitely is an art form. I'm all about recognizing those costume designers, because yes, Black Panther costumes should be on the list.
God, yes, they should win. Definitely.
But when it comes to best movie and having a popular one, I just feel like it just brings a different message. Because it's almost like they want the change, but they're not willing to change. That's how it looks to me, and I'm like, you just need to put Black Panther in the regular best movie category. Stop playing.
But then now that you're mentioning that, now I'm thinking along the lines of, maybe they're thinking more so craft than, like, popularity.
Yeah, because what if the popular movie sucks? Like, what if it's actually artistically terrible? You know?
Yeah.
And then what is considered popular? Like, in the article, it's talking about how are they basing it solely on, like, box office numbers? Because, like, La La Land made $100 million, so should that be popular? But, Black Panther made $1 billion, so is that popular? Well, that's definitely popular.
What's the threshold? But yeah, basically at the end of the article, they're like, the reason they're having these problems is because they didn't do a good job PR-wise. They're like, you just said that you were making this category. You didn't say anything about how you were going to figure out what types of movies go in the category.
So basically think before you post. Okay.
Let's plan these things out, peeps.
But let me just say that I like that Black Panther is the cause of this discussion and change. So, Black Power! Panther Power!
I don't know if that's exactly what the cause was.
I'm going there with it.
They did say that they've been looking at ways to get more viewership back for a while. And when you think about it, they probably have been trying.
But it's the catalyst. It's the catalyst.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Okay, so what's the next topic in Blackness?
Let's move on. Next topic in Blackness is, man.
It's about,
LeBron School, and what's it called?
LeBron School. I Promise School.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to say that this is the most awesome news in Blackness that I have seen. One, we have a black man using his own legitimately earned money to give back to the community in ways the government's supposed to, but does not. Can we just give him a round of applause?
Oh, yes. King James, you're awesome.
Yes, I mean, I don't even watch basketball like that, but I'm like, if anybody got anything bad to say, I'm gonna just point them to the school. Like, did you make a school where the kids can get free lunch, can go there all day, do stuff, they don't have to pay tuition, private institution, no, then be quiet. Don't talk about LeBron like that.
But of course, Trump had to open his mouth and talk about LeBron. Because LeBron mentioned Trump and about how he uses sports to divide the country. And he's like, I'm not on board with that. He didn't even, from the quote that I saw, he didn't even say it in like a really negative or attack type of way. But Mr. Trump, any dissenting voice is an automatic attack to him. So he's like, does he have I wonder if he has a Google alert that's just like on his name, so he knows every single person.
Every negative thing. I just want to add that when it comes to the sports, it's mostly the black sports athletes, let me say that he mainly doesn't have a problem with denigrating and attacking. I just wanted to point that out there. Kaepernick, LeBron, and some other people, he doesn't mind attacking them because they're black. You know, all the kneelers, he doesn't mind attacking them, but I ain't seen say nothing about no baseball team. They definitely have some dissenters there, but whatever. I just wanted to add that 2 cents.
Yeah, but I also wanted to talk about a little micro-rebellion happening.
Yes, let's talk about it, because Melania, she's maybe low-key my chick, because she's just very resisty, and I'm trying to make that word happen.
Stop trying to make it happen. It's not going to happen. It's never happening.
Because several times, Melania has, publicly gone against her husband's policies, decisions, and whatever else, and I just find it hilarious.
And they've got her, I guess, PR statement like, oh yeah, I'd definitely be willing to go and check out the I Promise school. And it's like, micro rebellion.
Yes, because of course Trump came out about, against LeBron and whatever, but she was like, well, I'm about to go see him and see this school because why? It's helping the children. So that was rebellion number 3. The first one what was the first one, Whitney? I can't remember.
CNN.
Oh yeah, one of the first ones was actually when the policy came out about the separation that his administration is doing. She came out and specifically said that she doesn't support this on Twitter. In fact, actually his daughter too said that. Mm-hmm. So that was some micro rebellion going on there. And then the second one, which was really funny, because he actually always attacks Don Lemon, calling him the stupidest anchor ever and all that kind of stuff. And mind you, Don Lemon was the one interviewing LeBron, where they had talked about how LeBron said that he would never want to sit across from Trump because of his divisiveness and his policies he doesn't support. Mm-hmm. We feel you. We feel you, LeBron. But his wife was on the plane watching CNN. And everybody knows that Trump only watches Fox, but he actually does watch the other shows. But he's hating on CNN, so I think it's funny because the news report said that he got so angry and was yelling and flaring because she was watching CNN on the plane. Holler back! And then the third one was this, where he was like, I'm against LeBron, and she's like, well, I'm gonna see him, and I support this school. So again, smashed in the face third time. So Melania, we feel you. We feel you. We love you, girl. You with us.
All right. So I think that's going to end and wrap it up for Topics in Blackness.
Yes, and we are going to post links to all these little stories and everything so that you guys can check it out later.
Check it out.
All right. And next we have...
Blerding Out about BlerDCon.
Woo woo! Okay, so the last weekend in July, me and Whitney had ventured off to Crystal City for BlerDCon.
Yeah, and it was awesome. It was actually my second year going, and it was actually the second year of BlerDCon. Because I was telling Bola about it last year, and I was like, oh man, these panels are so cool.
She practically raved, y'all. I was so enthralled.
Yeah, I did.
I was like, I have to go.
I loved it.
I have to go as a Blerd. I have to go. And so I had went for the first time this year. And so my experience initially was not savory, only because I was going and then I had planned to go to so many of the panels and back to back, several of my panelists did not show up. So that kind of was a bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, what's happening? What's happening?
Yeah, that was not a pleasant part about it, because I didn't have anyone not show up last year, but this year, yeah, I had like 3 panels I wanted to go to where the people were just like not there. And you're like, well, no.
And they had so many interesting panels. I mean, one was like the panel was canceled before anyone had known, so they had reprinted the thing. But like, you guys left this up online, so we had already decided that we were going to come to this, and then we found out that one was canceled.
Yeah, now that one I won't fault them for, because they actually did update this thing. It's just that we had printed our stuff like a week and a half or a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other ones where people the panels just didn't show up. Not cool, peeps. Not cool. So yeah, BlerDCon be cool if y'all, I don't know what you can really do about something like that, but
yeah, they just need to find another way to fix that. But anyway, I'm going to do my cons first before the pros, because there definitely were more pros. And as the weekend progressed, I had more fun. And so another thing I didn't know about was all the extra activities that you had to pay extra for. And I was like, why do you have to pay $21 for it? I'm not gonna lie, we did this one thing that was adults only. It was like a murder mystery that featured a drag and burlesque show. And it sounded all kinds of interesting. And then there was supposed to be a party at the end. But then when we got there, not only was it like starting like an hour and a half late, it was so confusing. No one understood their parts or what we're supposed to do. There was stuff, it wasn't led well. It was just a hot mess, y'all.
It was a role play. I mean, the
we paid $25
really
for that.
Interesting, but yeah, I mean, we had like 3 or 5 different sheets of paper, like full of text, and I'm like, this is a lot of stuff to read.
Thank you.
To play this game.
Yeah.
Like, it's like too much.
Yeah, it was too much. I'm like, I'm gonna need this in Trump form. Pictures only, okay? Pictures only. There's too many words on this page, and I love reading. But
and part of the reason that I paid to go to the adults only thing, I was like, I wanted to see the burlesque show, and I wanted to see the drag show, but it was like interspersed through the event.
There was basically only one burlesque person there. The other one was just like stripping, and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, that's kind of what burlesque is. But anyway.
Okay. But it didn't look along the veins. I thought it was just like regular, I don't know. It was awkward to me.
But anyway, yeah, there was only like, a total of 4 people?
4.
And I was
it
like, that
didn't make
doesn't,
sense.
to me, that doesn't a show make.
Yeah, and then I was like...
plus, I wanted a dedicated time to the show, not just like interspersed throughout the event, because I'm like, what if I just wanted to come for this?
Yeah, it was weird. I just was like, I personally, and I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't just me, a lot of the attendants that were there that had paid the extra money for that event were like, this wasn't worth the money. And one girl even told me, she's like, honestly, if this was a store, I would ask for my money back. So she really did not have a good time. Some people just left. They're like,
and plus it was supposed to be like a turn up type of thing.
Yeah.
And there was like not music until like the last 5 minutes. I was
maybe
like,
nerds don't know how to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, nerds do know how to do that, but I'm like, where's the music?
Not to mention, it took a long time to get to the end, and I was like, yo, can we wrap this up? I didn't even stay for the
game
real.
Should have been a very specific and concrete amount of time. Like, we got 45 minutes for this game, or we have an hour or an hour and a half for this game, and then after that, there's going to be the drag show for 45 minutes, and after that, there's going to be the burlesque show for 30 minutes, and after that, it's the turn up. Yeah. Something concrete, not like everything interspersed, because I'm like, I wanted to dance, but there's no dancing.
Yeah, everyone was tired beyond the end. The game exhausted us because everyone was so exhausted by not understanding what to do and then faking their role. I remember just going around just faking stuff. That's what one of the girls did.
I did get into a little bit of the role. It was kind of fun, but it lasted for too long.
Yeah, it was long. That we got tired. Like, me and my other friend that had come, we were both like, you want to go? I don't care who the winner is. I don't care who the person did. Let's just go. Whitney will tell us later. So we went back to the hotel room. We didn't even stay. And it was already 2:00, which was actually past the time that they said the whole thing was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, there was like bright lights the entire time.
Yes.
And I looked at some pictures from the other non-adult like party, and from what I saw from like, I guess like an Instagram video, it was bright lights there too. I'm like, but it's a party. Y'all need to turn the lights down. Put some strobe lights on. You can't party and
turn
like
up for what?
Exactly.
There was none of that.
You cannot like party when it's like daylight inside the room.
I feel bad for the people that bought the specialty price for the 2 nights, but it was the same game the second night.
Well, I don't know that for sure.
No, that's what they found out. Remember, Shaliqua told us that, it was the same exact one, because she had actually gone to see if they changed it, and it was the same game. Oh, okay. And I thought that wasn't right. Like, why would we pay money to do the same game? So I was glad I did not pay for the 2 nights. I was like, I don't need to do this again. So that was my main qualm. And then, also, I'm like a grown blerd. So as much as I love all the fandoms, don't get me wrong. I love the fandoms. I love the participation. The costumes were awesome. But I don't costume myself. And I'm just like...
I'm going to try to cosplay next year, actually.
You do that. I don't dress up, but I like seeing everybody else do it. So I was definitely more interested in, like, getting some information from the panels and stuff. And, like...
That's like the main reason I wanted to go, because the panels last year were awesome. And they had a lot of really awesome panels this year, too.
Yeah, a lot of Black Panther stuff. There was a lot of Black Panthers there. I was happy. And then there was like a queen there. And then M'Baku, my love. He was there. I took a picture of him, y'all. You can check it out on my Instagram, and my Facebook, and everywhere else. Yes, and so the panel that we enjoyed the most was probably by one of the Uncommons creators. The creators of the Uncommons comic book series. It's called the Uncommons. It's like a series, Little Iris and the superhero series. Plus, just while we were there, the vendor's room was huge, full of a lot of artwork, a lot of things to buy, a lot of things to support. And I was happy because, y'all know I support African stuff wherever I can, because we just don't get no shine like we should. But now we coming up. Africa's coming up. Anyway, but this person was a Nigerian comic book writer and creator, and so I had not seen him, but I love the premise of his stories, basically taking like African history and like queens and kings and making the mythology of itself, but they were like superheroes. I was so enthralled, so I got the books thanks to Whitney giving me a birthday present. Love you, Whitney.
I love you too.
So I was happy to see that. I'm happy to see some of the other stories, and people, the ideas of featuring the graphic novels and the comic books featuring Black characters. It was really cool to see. I was loving so much creativity was around. So I really, really love that part.
And I found the name of that panel. From Idea to Execution, a crash course on indie projects with Weird Enough Productions.
Yes, it was, Weird Enough Productions. But they make the comic book series called The Uncommons, which I actually want to get into because I've seen it before. I didn't even know that was him, that was the creator.
Yeah, I think it's Tony Weaver Jr.?
Yeah. He's good. He's very smart, and he's very eloquent. I love a eloquent Black guy.
Because I went to his panel last year, which is why I made sure to go to whatever panel he was doing this year. I didn't care what the topic was going to be, but he does an awesome job. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Other things that were cool this year, that they had added like a lot of these other, like I said, the midnight thing, the 21 and up thing, murder mystery didn't go well, but they had other panels and game things and just events that they added this year that were really cool, like the comedy show.
Oh, the comedy show was awesome.
The BlerDCon comedy show was awesome.
Last half of it because I went to a panel that
shout out to Lafayette 247. Lafayette 247 on Instagram. He was the funniest person at the BlerDCon comedy show. Just get some snaps. I went and saw BlerDCon poetry slam because I love spoken word poetry because it's not all about just poetry. Sometimes it's like pseudo rapping and I love wordplay. So there was that. Mm-hmm. And then there was something called Nerd Slam, which I thought was a poetry slam.
Which would make sense.
But it was actually like a trivia game show where you get to battle other people in the convention based off of your fandom. So you could pick your fandom and then you go up against somebody and you guys would get questions that the panelists would ask you. So there's one dude who actually is a lyricist, a poet, whatever, but he was just running that game and he has like vast knowledge of nerddoms. So I actually lost Whitney and our other friend, Shaliqua, because I was just sitting in the last day on Sunday just enjoying this like game. I was like, I want to play next year. I want to be the Harry Potter one because that's the one I know the most, you know? But it was cool, and then remember the Marvel panelists? We just to hear the feedback of everyone discussing the shows and the episodes and the movies. I thought that was sweet. So there was some enjoyable moments.
It was awesome to just be in like a community like that and be able
to and be okay with yourself. And we actually had non-Black people show up. There were some Asians, there were some whites. There was everybody there.
BlerDCon is really, even though Blerd literally stands for Black Nerd, BlerDCon really is for the underrepresented groups across like different fandoms and nerd type things. So not just Black nerds, it's for LGBTQ, handicap, or differently abled people. It's for other minority groups. It's for all of us who usually are just not well represented or, you know, featured at these types of things like cons and stuff. So, yeah, it was awesome seeing the many other different groups there.
Just a quick shout out, because I did talk about the comic book, but I didn't mention it, the one that was done by a Nigerian artist. One, I like that there were Nigerian artists that were doing this kind of work, graphic design, like, it's really a graphic novel. But it's by Roy Okupe, and it's called Malika, Warrior Queen. So he has like a whole mythology. There's a bunch of them. There's the Windmakers, there's EXO, the story of Wale Williams, the legend of Wale Williams. So there's a bunch of them. So I recommend you guys look up Malika, Warrior Queen in the Unique Studios. And they're created by Roy Okupe. O-K-U-P-E. Anyway, I enjoy it. So I like BlerDCon, to be honest with you. I didn't get my ticket to go again next year, but I really did like BlerDCon. As I was going, as the con progressed, I enjoyed it more.
Yeah. I will say though, yeah, the comedy show was awesome, love that. But the cosplay show,
oh yes, that was wonderful. The ending result was not, because they did not pick the right person to me.
Now that I'm like, when I was showing my mom pictures from like the cosplay and stuff, she was like, oh, and I was like, I thought, well, this person should have won with the big wings, and she was like, oh, just because he had big light up wings. And once she said that, I was like, oh, well, now that you mentioned it,
but he made it. That's kind of cool.
We don't know if he made it or not.
It doesn't matter. He put it together.
He could have just put it on.
Oh, well, whatever. Okay, so go ahead.
Because if they're considering, you know, if you actually made your stuff, then yeah. I could understand why someone who just bought it or had
Okay, Whitney has to let you guys know that there was a girl there that cosplayed as Regina from the Once Upon a Time series. Yeah, I love Regina. She looked great, but I was like not that impressed with her costume when I saw her. I was like, oh, cool. But I definitely didn't think she was going to be part of the top 3, let alone win the whole thing. But then we find out that she had hand-beaded all the beads on her outfit by herself, and what? She was legally blind. So, I guess brownie points? I don't know. I shouldn't be insensitive.
That sounded so shady.
It did, but I was just like, I don't know. I thought the other guy should have won, but
Ms. Evil Queen, your outfit was awesome, and I
didn't say it wasn't, but I was not like...
That sounded so salty and shady.
Some of the stuff that won, or was the judges pick, I was like, what y'all looking at, though? There's some other people over here. But
yeah, the other feedback I would give on the cosplay show was that they just like
cosplay catwalk, it was called.
Cosplay catwalk. Is they like herded them across so quickly.
There was so many people there. And I was like, can we look at them?
Let me go back and look at my calendar.
They need a bigger space for that.
They put the cosplay catwalk was supposed to go from 6 to 8. It lasted for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was very quick.
Oh, where the rest of the show at though?
It was very quick with no intermission.
So quick, and I'm like, what? I watch stuff on like Sci-Fi Channel and stuff, and I'm like, aren't y'all supposed to, I don't know, do some type of, have some people who maybe do some like little skits or something? Don't they have at least a few seconds on stage instead of like
does stuff like
practically like just dashing across stage? I could barely snap some pictures. I was like, can we get a little bit more time? I mean, this was awfully quick, and I mean, y'all did a lot, 2 hours. You don't have to be in a rush.
yeah, and I liked our hotel. It was very cool.
Yeah,
the inside was designed. You could. Oh, they also had all these old school arcade games set up so that you could just come in and play Pac-Man and Street Fighter and just a whole mess of games. Like you could just get your game on the whole night. They also had a room for hentai karaoke. Those who are not familiar with anime or Japanese culture, hentai is anime porn. I did not go in that room and I was not interested in those things. But the karaoke part was curious to me. But one of our friends did go and she explained it and I was like, oh, I'm glad we did not go there because it wasn't karaoke. It was basically like the movie was playing, and then you could talk and make your own words to what was happening in the movie. And I just thought, it just sounded like no.
So it's like Mad Libs for hentai.
Yeah, and I was just like, no. I remember there was a lady that she kept trying to get me to go to this, and I was like, I'm not into hentai. Then I found out that she was actually running the game, and she wanted more women to come, so that's why she kept accosting me, like, anytime she saw me. She's like, you don't want to go to the hentai? I remember she asked me one time, the second time, what are you? What kind of blerd are you? And I was like, I just like everything. I like comics. I watch anime. But I'm not into that. Okay? I was like, I'm not into it. I'm like, I'm not going. And there were very few women apparently that did want to go. Mostly boys, and it was not mostly good. I think Shalika told us that they were just so uncomfortable with watching this together, and I was just like, well, it wasn't for me. But they had different strokes for different folks. They had a lot of stuff. They had tabletop gaming, which I still was confused about.
Yeah, it was really cool how they like really covered like the full gamut. There wasn't quite as much fantasy there, but do you remember what they said the theme for next year is?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember.
They
but
have
the theme
some
for
Dora
next
Milaje
year seemed very much more kind of like fantasy.
I hope so.
Because this year was like kind of more, it felt like more science fiction.
And more superhero.
Well, I mean, I feel like all of the like these types of cons, like the comic book kind of anime and gaming type things, are gonna always be very a lot of superhero stuff there. But I just felt like there wasn't as much on the fantasy aspect this year.
Like, who was missing to you?
I don't know if I would say anybody was missing, but I mean, Game of Thrones, well, it has been on hiatus for a while, but I was like, you know, that type of genre is what I've been looking for. But now that I think about it, I guess there isn't that much on like TV or movie-wise that's been released in that genre. So, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I could always improve for next year. I definitely think they should keep the comedy show, maybe get a few better comics, but because some of the other ones were like not that great.
Oh yeah, the guy who ended.
Oh man, that's the worst.
Oh man,
that's the second time I've been to a comedy show where the headliner or the last act sucks so bad that you're just like, please leave, or you just leave yourself, which is what I did one time. I just left and was like, you suck. I'm like, I can't believe. No, I got free tickets, so I didn't pay. Thank God.
Bola, by the way, just for clarity, Bola's talking about some other shows.
I'm not talking about BlerdCon. This was the other comedy show I went to in Richmond. But anyway, it was just terrible. But I was very inspired after leaving BlerdCon to like start my own things, like writing and like, cause I was seeing how all these people are doing and being successful and making their own stuff, and I was like, I want to do that too.
And that's why another reason
I want to be out here in the
wanted
streets.
Bola to go, because I was like, after I went last year, I was so inspired to like do stuff. I didn't do stuff.
We're gonna do stuff, right?
Yeah,
we're gonna do stuff.
We're gonna do stuff.
Count it.
I didn't do stuff last year, but I'm gonna do stuff this year. I'm serious this year.
We're gonna do stuff this year. I've already started writing stuff, and so I was just like, I'm really excited.
It's already rolling.
Yes, we're working. We're trying.
Rolling
on the river. Do 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 do. Ba da ba. Yeah. Ba da ba. Ba da ba 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 da. Sorry, I think I have the Glee version in my head. All right. Anyway, so BlerdCon was awesome. We invite you guys to check them out. Other fellow Blerds.
Definitely come next year, you guys. It's both years I've gone. It's been awesome.
I haven't decided whether I want to go. I didn't decide on the $30 ticket, but we'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
We'll see. It would be a shame, I think, not to go, because I mean, this is the only thing. I'm actually, because of BlerdCon, I'm going to try to find other things kind of in that vein. Mm-hmm.
Other cons.
Yeah, other cons. Or conferences where it's got like really great information and panels and stuff. I
encourage you guys to do the same.
Yeah.
Go out there and learn stuff. There's things everywhere. Go out there and be and do what you want to do in your bloody heart. Okay? Alright, so now we are going to, unfortunately, talk about this next movie, the opening act, and
you sound like T now.
I know. That's one of our friends.
T.
You love you, T.
Hi,
Shout out.
If you listen.
I don't know if she listens. Okay, but tell them what we're going to talk about, Whitney.
We are now doing the opening act, which is Sorry to Bother You.
Audible sigh.
From Bola. I actually was not. I overall enjoyed. Sorry about.
Okay, let me preface this because I was mad excited about this movie because I watched all the interviews
Bola was
I
so
always
excited
do.
about it. I was like,
because it was magical realism, and you don't see magical realism that much apart from Korean dramas. Like I get my magical realism from Korean dramas. So I was like, oh, finally, American magical realism. Based on how they were doing stuff, and then one black-centered, and I was very interested in the topics about, the white voice for black people. It's basically about code switching that a lot of black people or people of color know that they have to do. Especially if you're in a different culture. I code switch all the time, even with my family, because of my culture. So code switching is just part of our life.
Can you explain the definition of code switching?
Well, code switching is basically where you change your vernacular, your speech, the way you talk, and maybe sometimes act to suit the people that you're around. So for black people, code switching is like when you're, when you're with your homies and stuff, you might talk a certain way, be like, hey, whatever. But then when you go to work, you have to put your white voice on or your educated voice, and you're like, oh, I didn't hear about that memo. Please explain it again. You're very polite and you're not ratchet, and then you might have your hood voice. Or for me, I have my African thing where I'm like, hey, my sister, what is going on? Where I go into my accent or like with my family and stuff. Sometimes I talk like that just to suit my family's surroundings, and then, so code switching is like that. If you don't code switch, good for you. Because I feel like maybe sometimes we betray ourselves by doing that all the time. But sometimes I try to find a middle ground when it comes to that.
I don't feel like I so much code switch, but I
don't
am
think you do,
adaptable.
Whitney. You are, but I don't think you code switch at all.
I know, but I'm also a Gemini, so I just happen to be both of those people.
I am too, but maybe that's why I code switch, because I can go back and forth. I'm all those people at the same time. Like I can be like, don't touch my milk, even though I don't drink milk, you know what I'm saying? Or I could just be, I do my Africanness where I'm like, jollof rice. Yeah, it's time to eat, too. It's time to eat. Or I could just be like, hey, my, I don't know if I call her white, but she's just like my educated black. Because I ain't doing that white no more. But though, being called the Oreo cookie and all that kind of stuff. When you sound educated, you don't sound like a regular black person. Because of how you talk.
I hate that though.
Me too.
Don't sound like a regular black person. I'm like,
always hated that.
But I just know how to use
English, right? You just speak it properly, the way it's supposed to be spoken in America.
Grammatical, yeah.
Because my family members always tell me, you guys are not speaking the Queen's English. And I'm like, okay, you got one.
But we're not under the British Empire. We rebelled.
Good point. I should say that next time. You're like, we were under the British Empire, but we're not anymore. We rebelled and we made our own version of everything. That's why we don't use yous, okay? We don't use yous.
What?
In flavor and other words where they use color and stuff. They use a U and we don't.
Yeah.
And other things. And we don't say schedule, we say schedule, okay?
That's right.
With a C. It sounds better. Schedule just sounds pretentious. Anyway. But code switching is part of sorry to bother you. And then there was some socio-economical issues about the telemarketing business or just businesses in general. But I was excited for this. This movie was rolling. For me, I was feeling it. But the movie hit a certain point where there was just no return for me. By the way, spoilers about if you haven't watched Sorry to Bother You, please go somewhere else or just flip or just continue to listen.
That BlerDCon with Bola and Whitney is just a spoiler-free. Not spoiler-free.
Spoiler-ridden.
Spoiler-ridden show all the time. Anytime that we talk about a movie or a show, just expect that there's just going to be spoilers all over the place.
We're going to talk about it.
That's right.
Because we watched it, so we're going to talk about it. That's right. Anyway, so there was a point of no return, and this was when, I didn't really care so much for the drug, talk about the lead person first. Cassius Green, right?
Yeah, Cassius Green, which I thought, I like the way they kind of use names in the movie, because we got Cassius Green, who's the main character, and it's Cash is green.
Yeah.
And I also that
right there is another example why I think that Boots Wiley was just high when he wrote this, and he thought it was profound, but he was just really high. Come on now, Equisapiens, come on, let's not jump the gun.
And then I loved somebody was named Detroit, And it's like, my parents wanted me to have an American name. And then she wasn't like a main character, but Diana Debocherry, which is spelled debauchery. Mm-hmm. And they're like, it looks like debauchery. Well, it's not.
It's debauchery, and I'm like, that sounds really ignorant. But I laughed at that because it was still early in the film.
It was, yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, and also I have such a problem with the character Detroit, which was played by Tessa Williams, who's awesome, but I did not like her character in this. I feel like she was flippant and just, I'm sorry. She was supposed to be, I mean, yeah, she was supposed to be like carefree and stuff, but to me, she just had no grounding. I was just like, what is really your take and what is really your stance? And then how are you just going to flip flop on the dude? You guys broke up and you broke up with him because he decided to progress in the company and stuff.
No, but that's not why she broke up with him. She broke up with him because not he decided to progress, but he decided to progress at all costs. He gave up any sense of like, I feel like ethics or like.
Well, for me, once he found about the Equisapiens, he turned around. So I was like, that's the epitome of a.
But it took horse people getting turned into
horse people with horse dicks.
Around.
Okay,
the fact that
let's put that in there because they definitely showed them
that we're basically like warmongers. That's not enough. We're like basically funding warmongers, and we're the same company.
Oh yeah, they have the worry-free lifestyle.
Yeah, and the worry-free basically
labor camps that you can't leave. You live in the
so
camp.
Basically, you're like a slave.
But they do that in China. It's like for real.
But yeah, but that's still like basically indentured servitude. Indentured servitude / slavery. It's like, and you're like selling weapons to these nations, but that's not the point where you're like, no, this is enough. You're like, no, horse people is where I draw my line.
Yeah, so apparently the leader Armie Hammer, I'm not gonna lie, played this character so well. I actually loved Armie Hammer's performance. I just hated the person he was. I hated his character, but I loved his performance.
Yeah.
And the character, apparently, his solution, I swear, these God complex characters, when they have so much money and time and privilege, they just do stupid stuff. Lift is such a weird, anyway.
Yeah.
Armie Hammer's character is called Steve Lift, and he was the maker of
he didn't want him to think he was crazy. He's like, I'm not doing this for no reason. His reason was crazy, but he's like, I don't want you to think I'm doing it for no reason.
Basically, the person snorts cocaine, basically, or like the horse developing agent in the powder, but the way you have to ingest it is like sniffing a line of cocaine. And I'm like, to me, I didn't know why Cassius didn't think, because the plate had a horse on it. Like, I was like, it's definitely what you're gonna. Basically, he told him that he wanted him to be the Martin Luther King of all the other horse people, which in itself was so freaking wrong. I was like,
the Equisapiens.
They call them the Equisapiens, basically horse people with huge dicks. And I was like, and they definitely talked about that a lot too. So I was like, why are we obsessed with the horse dicks right now? Anyway, and they showed that mess too, so it just was so freaky. But
yeah, that was like, whoa, this became a totally different movie all of a sudden.
It was basically like to cure the problem of like human. Basically, the finite nature of human effort, and human ability to continue to work for a long period of time.
So that they could work harder, longer,
and faster.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the answer. We'll just make horse people. And I'm like, I get it. It's a metaphor for like what these big companies want to do with all their underlings because they pay them less. And then what I didn't like was Detroit. Like, as soon as she got rid of him, she like flipped and started getting with the other dude, the Asian dude.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing I wanted to bring up. That I don't know what is the actor's name, but anyway, the guy who played Glenn on Walking Dead was in this movie. I love him so much. He is so cute.
He's Korean. Hot. He is cute.
Sorry, no, he's not just cute. He's actually hot.
He is.
I love him so much. They should make him a lead man in some movies.
In something.
There's not enough like leading Asian.
Yes,
yeah.
But we're gonna talk about them because one big one is coming up in one of our next episodes. It's called Crazy Rich Asians. Yeah. But we'll get back to that. We're not gonna talk about that now. Not right now.
Yeah, but yeah, he was in there and he was his character name was Squeeze.
Yeah. But she like got with him for a little bit and then she didn't.
Squeeze was down for the cause, unlike
Unlike Cassius. I'm not gonna lie, I did like Squeeze. And I was like, the way he even came at Detroit was a lot better.
Yeah.
I was like, Detroit, he's not even caring about you like that. Put Cassius down.
He get there 2 hours late to pick her up, so I don't care that she dropped him. She had a good reason to drop him when she did.
I know, but I was just like, then she went back, and then it was like they were together, and I was just like, you're so flippant. I'm like, I don't know what to do with. I didn't know what to do with her.
I don't feel like she was exactly just flip flopping. I feel like she was like, all right, I've had enough. I gotta leave you alone.
No, flippant as in just a kind of wishy-washy character, just not a substantive character to me. I didn't know what to do with her. I was like, what are you? What are you doing? She had these earrings that they kept focusing on, which I thought were interesting, but to the point where then I just didn't realize what they were doing with them, because they would focus on them, but I'm like, I don't get where they go. I don't know. To me, my main issue was that at the end of the movie, the messaging that was coming out of the I guess the moral or whatever, not necessarily a moral you have to get, but the messages of the movie that it was trying to make was not clear to me. I don't feel like they were made strongly where I'm forced to believe a certain way about a certain thing. And I don't know if that was his goal, because then if that was not his goal, then hey, you succeeded. But to me, I feel like films usually come home with something.
I feel like there were some points that were made throughout the movie through almost satire.
But it didn't come home strong enough to me. I'm sorry. I would never, as a writer, I would never finish a film that way. Have it
come through too strong, because then it's hitting people over the head.
No, it doesn't have to be strong. It just has to be clear. That's my thing, and it wasn't clear. I don't know. To me, it wasn't. It was one of those white films that are so weird. And I remember I listened, because I could not process what I watched. I listened to another podcast called Black Man Can't Jump in Hollywood, which I recommend y'all listen to if y'all like film. They only discuss, 3 black guys, they only discuss films that feature black leads. And so they talked about this, and they were all divided too. There was 3 of them, and they all couldn't agree whether they liked the film or not. One liked it, one didn't like it at all, one was like, I'm on the fence. But basically, he was talking about how... he was saying how... What was he saying? Oh, crap, I lost my train of thought. I listened to them talk about this movie, and they made such a good point with something, and I could... Oh, yeah. He was saying... The one that didn't like the film, he was saying that he was happy that this kind of film can be done with black people. Mm-hmm. He's that we have the right to have a weird black film that I don't necessarily need to see again, but that it's out there. Because normally these kind of weird films are mostly featuring only white people. Mm-hmm. So he's now, and I'm like, okay, I can, that made sense to me. I'm like, yeah, we have an art house film, or not even art house, just a weird film. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to say about it. I'm done with Sorry About You. But y'all watch at your own discretion. It's very weird, and I didn't take well to it. So
what would you give it? So how would you score it out of 10?
I would score it I want to say a 5, but I'll give it a 5.4.
I think I would give it a 7.5.
Yes, let's move on to the main, please.
All right. And
bye.
Now,
sorry to bother you. The pièce de résistance.
Okay, that is the right word. All right. Yes.
In French.
The pièce de résistance. Which is the darkest mind.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited. Pull over that. Too fast. Pull over that. You know what's so funny? When that song came out, I thought he was saying tuna salad. So I was like, pull over that tuna salad. That's what I kept saying.
Haven't heard the song, but anyway.
Oh my gosh, you have. Okay, never mind. We'll get to it later. Everybody's heard that little piece. It's like a little piece of us. Anyway, Darkest Minds. Yes.
So we did our little bit of research, and this is based off of a book series
by Alexandra Bracken. Release the Kraken Bracken. I'm sorry. I just wanted to do that.
Yeah, and apparently it was originally called Black is the Color, but then in 2011 it was changed to the Darkest Minds series, which is also the first book.
It's a YA series, by the way. And young adult series usually are
my favorite genres.
Yeah, they actually do really good, even though they're about teenage angst and stuff. But I do like them.
Yeah. So it's a trilogy. First one is The Darkest Minds. The next one is Never Fade, and the last book is In the Afterlight. And I just think that the book titles are really cool.
Very cool titles.
I love a really good book title.
Yeah, it kind of draws you in, so that's why you have to have good book titles, because people are like, ooh, what's this about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, one, I'm excited because this film features a strong black female lead.
Yes!
Amandla... What's her last name?
Amandla...
Steinberg, I think? Steinberg?
Let me look.
I believe. Yep. Stenberg, yes.
Amandla Stenberg.
I don't know if she's mixed or not, but... I don't know.
I don't know.
But anyway, she was awesome, and she was one of the original cast members in the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But she was the one that was killed off so sadly. She was so cute when she was a little girl.
Rue, I believe.
Yeah, I loved her as Rue, but now she's grown up. And
it's so funny now because now she's playing Ruby.
Yeah, I know, right?
In this movie, her character name is Ruby.
But I love her froze, and I love her. She got her curly thing going, and I love them. And she's just a beautiful black girl. Just beautiful. Yeah. But her acting chops are awesome. In fact, it's funny, you were watching a movie featuring her, and the trailers that came on had her in one of the trailers for another movie called The Hate You Give. She's in that too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That one's interesting as well.
Yeah,
but we're talking about this
movie.
She is
blowing up.
Yeah, she was in the movie. She was in another YA thing last year.
The one where she's stuck in the house. Disease where she can't go outside or something. Yeah.
And my sister watched it and she loved it. Oh. My sister was like, you need to watch this. But then most of the time, me and her are just interested in two different things. So she'll watch one thing and I'll watch something else. And we won't ever watch the thing we recommend to each other. Anyway, so first and foremost, I give this movie a solid 8. I just really enjoyed it.
I think I would give it a 9.
It was really good.
It was really good, yeah.
I was invested. I loved the premise, the ideas, and so we're going to get into it.
To me, the pacing was flawless. Because, there's sometimes you'll watch a movie, and then it's got it feels like a lull partway through the movie.
Or it's too fast.
Yeah, either too fast, or there's this lull where you're like, I don't feel like we're really moving. I feel like we've stalled on the storyline, but this movie, to me, I was just like, wow, this was perfectly paced. I didn't feel like at any point where I was just kind of drifting off, like, all right, we're going to get to some more interesting things coming on. Which doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have a Michael Bay movie with things blowing up left and right.
I know, right?
Because that was not happening the entire time, but it was just really, oh man. The plot was great, the pacing was great, acting was great characters.
Story premise. It's very Resisty.
Stop trying to make Resisty happen.
It's the makings of a Resisty movie.
No! Resisty is not a word. It's never going to happen.
It set it up so that you could tell rebellion is on the way. So let's talk about the story. Yeah,
so Ruby, there's a whole, power system, children, there's something that happens.
Well, wait, you gotta go back to where there's a disease that was spread throughout all the children, and 90% of the children in America died. But the ones that lived developed some kind of powers.
Yeah.
And it was in a different form. They're all of them developed some power. But the kind of power they had...
they categorized them by color.
Because their eyes were flashing the color, too.
Mm-hmm. So, the lowest part of the pyramid were the greens.
And the greens had high intelligence.
Exactly.
So they were just smart, so they were considered
super
safe.
Smart, yeah.
So they didn't kill them off.
Yeah.
So they actually ended up taking the kids from their parents and putting them in internment camps, which I don't know why this theme always comes up. But it's almost like that's what you do. I don't know. Even now, look what Trump is doing with the kids in the border.
Yeah.
How timely and Resisty.
Resisty is not a word. It's not going to happen.
I'm making it happen. Anyway, and so Ruby had been taken from her parents' home and she was put in there. But based on the system and the levels...
Oh, yeah. So green at the bottom.
Sorry.
Next up from the green on the pyramid is blues. And they have telekinesis, so they can move things, move objects with their minds.
Yeah. So they decided to leave them okay. They're like, you guys can... You're a step up because you could do some stuff, but you're not you're not unsubduable,
So then we've got next up from that is the golds, and they had electrokinesis.
Electrokinesis, so control the light and the power and surges and all that kind of stuff. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. And then next up from that, we've got. You know what? We're gonna tell you the next up from that is red, and the top of the pyramid is orange, and who we're gonna save the last two, or when we get to that part, because it's also kind of essentially saved.
Shouldn't we tell Orange?
Well, yeah, I guess we can tell them what Orange is, since Ruby is an orange. So Orange is basically
the lethal.
Yeah, they're the top.
The
red and the orange, they're like kill on sight.
Yeah.
And so Orange is they're telepaths, and they've got mind control. So like Ruby, she can't just read your mind like Professor X style, but if she touches you, she can like get stuff from you. Thoughts or things that have happened to you or whatnot. But yeah, the mind control thing, she can do that whether she's touching you or not, and that was what made them like a kill on sight. They're like, no, these people need to be put down. Yeah. And they're like the rarest ones, the orange. There aren't a whole lot of orange in them.
That's because they kill them on sight, because the oranges can make you do stuff. Well, they said that they're
rare anyway.
Yeah, but they had more of them. They just killed most of them off.
I don't know. Well, in any case, they were pretty rare in the first place. But yeah, so
Ruby was an orange right at the top. But when she was a kid, spoilers by the way, spoilers. But when she was a kid, she had convinced the doctor to put that she was green so she could live, because she saw that she was about to get killed. Yeah, smart girl. So she lived as a green. I feel like they have levels within the colors, because it was like. The movie was about these 4 kids, because she ended up leaving the camp. Somebody helped her escape. Yeah, who's part of the Mandy Moore's character helped her escape. She's part of the children's league. Apparently there are actually children in the league, but adults that are trying to help the children. From what's happened in the world, because all the kids are really in internment camps, so some of them escaped. So some of them are trying to like get to safety, get to some place of solace, you know. So there's this place that the kids kept trying to get to. But before that, when Ruby escapes, because she didn't trust the Children's League people, she runs into a band of ragtag group of escapees, which were 3 kids who were just on the run by themselves, all trying to get to that place of solace where they said is a place of haven for the kids who had escaped. And so the other people part of the group were Liam, and he was a blue. Yeah, he was a powerful blue. Yeah, he could move like big tree trunks and big large objects.
Yeah, and like vehicles, vehicles. So he was pretty powerful. You also had Zoo,
and she was a little Asian girl.
She had electrokinesis, so she had like power over electricity and stuff.
Mind you, was so cute. Liam was the love interest. He was white too, but. He was a love interest, so, YAs always have to have a love interest. You just can't not, And then you had, Charles, or Chubbs, but you had to earn the name to call him Chubbs. And he was a green, but he was like a very high intellect level green. He was very smart. Yeah. And so he helped them. So funny. I loved his character so much. He was a comic relief. I loved his character. He was great. So, and then they had this band that they were running around in, trying to get to where it was. And I kind of liked that it was cool that it was all like in Virginia. The place was Virginia that they kept traveling in. Yeah. And I guess probably because they were near the capital, because, the guy that ended up being Slip Kid, the kid that was in charge of the Kid Haven, and being the president's son, who was an orange. So it was about all the kids' journey to that Haven spot. EDO, I guess they called it. But then while they're there, the kids found out that, this place is kind of not that great.
This is basically doing the same thing in the camps, but now we're just...
And Clancy ended up being the son of a so-and-so. I was like, the Me Too movement was happening. It should have been happening in that book because of what he tried to do to her.
Oh, yeah, that was... Yeah.
Ooh. He was basically, he was another orange, and so she had never met another orange. And she was afraid of her powers because of what she could do, and she had already erased herself from her parents' mind because she didn't want them to worry, but she was only 10 when she did it.
Yeah, so she didn't mean to do that. She just was trying to have them not worry, and in doing that, her parents' powers manifested. It's like, you don't have a child, you won't worry. So that's how her power manifested itself.
Yeah, so even though she had actually gone back home, but they did not have any recollection of having a child, so it was just them. And so she left home and went back on the road with the kids again. But Clancy, who was the president's son, who basically had an axe to grind against his father because his father was actually mean to him. His father let them just experiment on him and stuff. So he's like, I'm going to make my own little army. and I'm control all y'all mofos. So he was in control, and he was basically running, and basically he was getting all those kids together because he wanted them to be part of the army for him. And so
he's
it was harvesting
all of the rest of the
harvesting.
Yeah,
and that wasn't cool too. So there was like a breakout, all this stuff. But
I also wanted to discuss, like, I didn't really see any adults with powers. Because she got in that camp, so when she was 10, it had been 6 years.
Kids.
But I'm curious, though, does, like, I didn't see anyone, because, like, if somebody was, like, maybe 17 when it happened, there would still be someone, like, older, like, early 20s.
Yeah,
and I don't feel like
forget, they did say that 90% of the kids had died. So maybe the older ones died. We don't know. But you have to read the book to find out. For real.
I'm just curious about that.
Maybe only the smaller kids. It's what really affected.
Maybe, but it was just something that I was just thinking about.
Yeah, because apparently, like, we had started off seeing Ruby when she was little, when she was 10, and then 6 years had passed, so she became 16, and then she got broken out of the camps.
Yeah.
And so I don't blame you, because you're just like, yo, where are the older kids? Yeah, like, what happened? Like, Clancy, who knows how old he was? But he looked like he was much older than the other ones. So he could have been an adult that had the kid. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, but it was definitely has the makings of a resistance. Resisty! No! It basically has the makings of a resistance film, and I assume that it's going to be like most YA novels where they have like a trilogy. Trilogies are just awesome. I love trilogies. And if the movie does well in the box office, perhaps they will make Part 2 and Part 3.
That would be awesome, because this was a really awesome movie to me, and I would really look forward to seeing the rest of the series done in movie form.
Yeah, we didn't explain what the Reds were. The Reds were also not existent because we didn't see them, but then we found out later on that the Reds were taken and used, if they weren't killed, as like firepower, because their power was really fire. Yeah. Coming out of their mouths. I call it sonic fire because they had some kind of sound that came out, but Whitney thinks it's what?
Fire breathing.
I
just call it fire breathing. I mean, they might not actually be breathing fire, but it seemed like when they were manifesting their power, they always had it was almost like they were dragons breathing fire.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because most of the kids that are left are just green, oranges, and gold. Green, blues, and gold. So there aren't many reds that are not controlled or accounted for, and there definitely aren't any oranges.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Or subjugated them.
So I just thought it was a very interesting premise. It was a really cool YA movie. Let's talk about the love interest and what she had to do in the end. Can we talk about that?
Oh, yeah.
So there's some love and sacrifice.
Yeah. I thought that was a really prevalent part of the movie, especially at the end, was like sacrifice, because Liam at one point was part of the Children's League. And that's why he didn't like them, because he's like, they're not any better. He's like, you shouldn't like go to the Children's League. He's like, because they're basically trying to make us into soldiers. And he's like, I don't want to be a soldier. So at the end, when they're like escaping from what is his name, Clancy, the president's son, the slip kid, when they like kind of escaped and everything. But Chubbs, he gets like seriously injured, where he's like mortally burned trying to save Ruby. Well, he did save her, but so he got like burned like really bad. So Ruby uses like this device to contact them, because she knows the only thing that's going to help him is like actual medical attention, no like veterinarian off the side of the road somewhere. So with that happening, Liam actually stays with her, because they already know that he's pretty powerful, and they would just, try to make him into a soldier again and not let him go, because he just knows too much.
Too much about the league, yeah.
But he doesn't care. He stays with her anyway. He's like, I'm not leaving y'all. And he's not leaving Chubbs either, but he's gotten Zoo to safety with some other kids.
It was sad because it's like they all split ways at the end of this film. That was the main thing, because they're a little family. Because it was like, I liked that they were fighting for themselves. Again, it's kind of like this theme of like children rising up to fight against the government, the adults that are like basically doing stupid crap. Who knows who actually like spread this disease among the kids anyway? A lot of it's like fabricated by the government doing experiments and stuff. Not trying to be conspiracy. I'm just saying, like in the story world that's happening. But I like that it's again showing the power of children to resist and to fight and to press on. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. And so I like seeing that in this film. Like I said, resistance is kind of the theme of the hour, the theme of the day, the theme of this presidency for us. And then I also like that she was growing in that one. She was reconciling with her powers and what she had done because she didn't tell anyone she was an orange because of what her powers were. She thought everyone would be afraid of her because they hadn't seen any oranges because why? They were killed on sight or subjugated. Mostly killed. The oranges are mostly killed because they called them lethal because the orange could just kill, like, get you to kill yourself. You know? Basically, with just their mind. They fought with their minds. But what had happened was when they got caught and then it was just, they had sent Chubbs to the hospital and it was just Ruby and Liam together. Zoo had gone with them some other kids that escaped because some of them did get caught. And so she basically had to come up with this decision whether or not she loved Liam so much that she wanted him to have his freedom. Yeah. But she knew that Liam would not leave her because he loved her too. And so she knew that for a cause to fight for what's going on, to try and free all the children, to try and get to the bottom of this, she had to give something up. And she even said that in the film, that she had to give him up. So in this very sweet way, very bittersweet way, she ended up doing what she did to her parents. She raised herself from Liam's memory, which was so sad. It was sad. It was sad to watch, but that was her sacrifice of love. And so it's almost like I said, with resistance, it's always some kind of sacrifice. Yeah. You know? This is not part of our resistance series, but it's just along the vein, so we're going to talk about it. Yeah, and so that part to me always, I guess you show love by sacrifice. Yeah, and I thought it was, I also saw it as her being willing to fight so that he wouldn't have to. Because he already said he didn't want to be a soldier, so she's like, this is what I'm willing to do for my family. Yeah. She's fighting for him. She's fighting for Chubb. She's fighting for Zoo. She's fighting so that they won't have to. I wonder if she can have the power to put herself back. That would be interesting. If she figures it out, I'm sure she could. Yeah, because what was interesting was that the other orange, Clancy, he didn't even know how she was able to do that. He found that out and then he's like, teach me. And then he tried to use that against her and tried to he really tried to rape her, honestly, in the movie. And I was like, oh no. Luckily, she got away from him. And then he had planned, now that he had learned how she did it, he was going to plan to erase that out of her memory. And I'm like, you do another orange. How did she go? Anyway, I don't know how that was going to work. Luckily, that was never addressed in the movie. I don't know about the books. But that part was interesting as well. But they had like a little standoff, Clancy and her, at the end when all the chaos was happening. Where the fire was going everywhere, and then the military, the militia, the government militia was rounding up the kids, and he was like controlling.
Clancy's actually like the head
part of them, yeah. And I was like, really, Clancy?
Probably the head of the country, because
because he got his dad locked away hated somewhere. His father, yeah. So he was like, his father is in a dungeon somewhere, and I was just like, well, dang, Clancy is another kid is gonna be the enemy. You know what I mean? Of course, it would take an orange to do that, but. It's just very interesting premise. I hope they make other movies because I hope it's not like because they don't get the box office numbers they want that they don't make the other ones. Like there was another. It's only been a week, so it's only been a week that it's been out. Yes, so I hope they do make the box office figures so that they make other ones because I would love to see the rest of this series played out. But I remember the movie I Am number 4. I really wanted to see the rest of those, but me too. They didn't because they didn't get the box office numbers. They didn't make the rest of them, and I was like, that sucks. That did suck. And I actually liked I Am number 4.
I liked it too. But I liked this much better.
This one was way better. But I was not going to lie. I was like, I should just go read them. But then I was just hoping they would make the movies and they didn't. So I'm hoping that they make this one and the series continues. I think so too. Because I feel like to me, it's better to see the movie before reading the book. Because a lot of times if you read the book, then when you see the movie, you're like, that's not why. So, you know what's so good about that? It's actually that it gets you excited about the more information that you do learn when you're reading. You're like, oh, so that's what happened. I remember my sister, she had done that to me several times with some series. She's like, I think it's Lord of the Rings. We all love Lord of the Rings, but I wasn't about to read that whole thing. But she had done that because one of her English teachers was all about Lord of the Rings. So she read it and she's like, that's not really what happened. Their hair is really supposed to be brown. And then they're supposed to, and I was like, okay, calm down. I'm enjoying my film. But she already read it beforehand, and then she's picking it apart. And then I remember doing the same thing with Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's almost been like, watch the movie, like, okay, and then you can enjoy and appreciate the book more.
Yeah.
But like I said, we love the movie. We loved it. So much better than Sorry to Bother You. So much more better spend of your money.
So much shade.
Yes. Not even, it's just overt shade. I'm just going to just put it out there. I did not like that other movie, but I did like this one, and I recommend you guys go watch it.
Definitely check out The Darkest Minds, peeps. It was awesome. I loved it.
All right. So I think that's it for our episode.
I think we are going to wrap it up.
We did not sing as much as we usually do. We had a lot to talk about, y'all.
We did, but we had longer singing spills this time, I feel like.
Really?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
I think so, good sir. Good man. All right, y'all. We are blerding out and just leaving right now. Yeah. We got things to do. But we love if you guys would just hit us up with a comment and, on our Instagram, on our Twitter. If you're listening, if you've been listening to all of them, just give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you all, okay? All the information will be at the end of the episode.
All right. Blerd out.
Blerd out. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Please subscribe to our show on whatever podcast listening app you use and share the show with other blerds and non-blerd family and friends. And if you like our episode, please rate and review us on iTunes.
The intro and outro music is Twilight by Caption. You can find them on SoundCloud, username Caption, spelled CAPSHUN. The show notes are by Bola, Hanson, and the audio engineering is by Whitney Booker.
And you can contact us by email at blerdtalkbw@gmail.com. And also, don't forget to get social, you guys. You can find us on our social media at Instagram and Twitter, with our @handle being @blerdtalkbw. And we've got our individual things going on too, y'all. So you can find me, your Blerd Fashionista, on Instagram and Twitter at BolaStoryB. That's B with 2 E's like the insect. And I've got my own personal YouTube channel, just Bola Sade. That's BOLASHADE. D as in dog, E as in elephant.
And this is Whitney. You can find me at my company, Luminavi Studios. The email address is wit@luminavi.com. That's WHIT@LUMENAVI.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Luminavi Studios.